welcome. This is the regular meeting of the Charter Township of Comstock Parks and Recreation for Monday, August 10th, 2026. This meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Noting there's no objection, then motion passed. And that brings us to our public comment section. A citizen may state his or her name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. Okay.
Hi, my name's Larry LeBond, 4221 South First Street, Kalamazoo. I'm here to speak because I'm the guy that you guys heard so much about. It was my disc golf league that had the issue back in June. First of all, I want to let you guys know, I've been running leagues for 32 years. We've been at Robert Morris for the last 6.5 years. I've run two world championships at Robert Morris, as well as many tournaments. We've never had any real issues. We've donated the baskets that are out there. We organize and help fund the short tee expansion out there. We help every time that there's tree damage and storm damage. We try and help with the cleanup of that. We try to help improve the park. So it was a real surprise to me a month ago to find out that there was an issue with the league and nobody communicated with me except to show up with a code enforcement officer who started following our league members around the course and would watch them for several holes. About half the course, he would watch them as they played and surveillance them. And obviously he caught some people out there drinking and smoking, which I don't condone, never did. But there was no communication to me that there was an issue. And when I asked how come no communication, that was never explained to me. The week prior to that, the park was closed early at 6 o'clock. I sat there from 2 to 6 o'clock, letting my league members, as they rolled in, that the park was closed. Both Katie and Dakota were there. Why did they not take that opportunity to talk to me about what problems they had? Obviously, he went on the course. He caught people. He told me that night he caught 12 people. He told you guys 18. I don't know how he got to 18. He told me 12. I asked him how he knew the people were members of my league. He told me he didn't know. We don't close the course for our league members, so there are people who I have no idea who they are out on that course. So I don't know who he caught, what he caught them doing, and how many people exactly he caught. And again, I don't have a problem with that, and I would have been more than happy to spread the word and let the disc golfers know that there was a problem. At 6 o'clock that night, the 18th, Dakota came up to me and basically made a threat. I had never met Dakota before. I didn't know exactly who he was, what he was doing. Around 2 o'clock that night, he came up to me, made a brief joke about the park being closed early the week prior, and then said he was going to enforce smoking and drinking ordinances on the course. And then he took off. And then at 6 o'clock, he comes back to me and says, I'm coming back every Thursday throughout the summer to watch your group. And if you don't like it, you guys can go elsewhere. He said that to me multiple times, that we can go elsewhere. So he came up and threatened me. That's how I took it. I was agitated and I felt like he was targeting us. He mentioned that there were complaints. When I asked Katie about the complaints, I'm told they're from her and her staff. When I asked Dakota about it, he's telling me there's a general public complaint. When I ask him specifics about that complaint, he tells me I have to FOIA them. So he won't tell me what the complaint is. He's telling me that I'm supposed to be responsible for our group, but he won't tell me what the complaint is. I have to FOIA it. When I did FOIA it, I got a bill for $1,700. So how many people are going to follow through on FOIA requests, number one, put the effort in, and then number two, get a bill like that to find out whether or not I'm being lied to? I don't know if it was just from Katie and her staff. I don't know if there's a complaint from the general public. I don't know. So I have a real problem with honesty, and I don't know if that's who's telling me what and what's truthful there. Then the following week, on the 25th, I had sent Katie an email the following day on the 19th, and we had a couple email exchanges, and I expressed my frustration on how this was being handled. I felt it could have been handled in a calmer, more easier way, where just communication with people and let them know. Some of our league members don't even understand that smoking is illegal out there. So there were things that obviously needed to be communicated and explained and so on. But the next week, on the 25th, we came out there, and we knew Dakota was going to be out there following us around again. And I was told that night they didn't catch anybody doing anything wrong that night.
Okay, excuse me. Your 3 minutes are up, and I know you have a lot to say, apparently. But you can also, after the meeting, can write something or set up an appointment to discuss it further?
I would be happy to set up an appointment. I think the best thing to do, I wish I was here the night you guys had the special meeting. I was kind of disappointed I was not invited to that. It seems to me I would have been the most logical person outside of the township or outside the Parks Board to talk about that night. So there's a lot that went on. There's a lot I have problems with. I think it was totally mishandled. I was threatened and I had done nothing wrong. And I'm banned, or the league's banned. That's never been communicated to me. I don't know what this ban entails. I don't know if I go to the park, if I'm gonna get a ticket. I don't know, I understand it might be the league that's banned. I don't understand why we're banned. So I've got lots of problems.
Okay, all right. Thank you, your time's up.
Okay.
Sorry for the public comment section.
How do I go about further communication?
Yeah, contact the Parks office, and we'll set one up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Are there any other public comments? Okay. Okay, that moves us to the consent agenda. That's meeting minutes, GL distribution report, and mercantile bill. Are there any review comments, concerns?
I just have a couple of questions. Katie, the refunds for the pavilion rentals, was it weather related? Or?
That's when we had to close the park because of all the threats on Facebook.
All right, so then when you have in the director's report how many pavilion rentals they were, does that account for those being taken off, or?
I don't know for sure. I'd have to ask Katie.
All right. Just this EPS security at Merrill, did we get new stuff, or was it just repairing alarms and camera, or?
That is a recurring bill every month for the service that we
That's
have.
just the basic
Yep.
service, okay.
Yep.
And then this, I don't know how you say it, Certisite
Mm-hmm.
inspections. What was being inspected there for?
That is a yearly inspection of the fire extinguishers at the park.
Okay, because down here it does say part fire extinguisher, but up here it just says inspection. So I thought maybe those were different, but it's all fire.
Yes.
Okay. And, I mean, some are 261, some are 175. Just,
Different parks have different amount of fire extinguishers, and I would guess that that would be why.
okay. So they charge per extinguisher, not just coming out to check?
It's something that's done every year. I don't get to tell them that they can't do it. They have to be inspected, so.
No, that wasn't implying that they should be told. I just was wondering if they charge, why there was such a variety of prices, if they charge per extinguisher or if they come out just and do a service check, but no big deal.
I'm not sure.
All right. And then the pavilion lights from Esper. Oh. It says field lights. Were those repairs or those, have we started purchasing some?
Nope, I haven't purchased anything. Right now, we're just doing maintenance on the lights that are out. So there have been lights that have gone out that we've had to replace.
Okay, so those are, okay.
thought you said something about a pavilion one
Well,
for
it
Esper.
says, yeah, large, there's a charge from Esper for large pavilion.
So I think a couple of months ago, I had said that the electricity doesn't work at the large pavilion. So they had come out and said that there's an issue. At the time, they said that it would be quoted at about $1,000 to try to fix the problem, but they didn't know if that would actually fix the problem. So I had them hold off on it to decide if we wanted to spend the $1,000 to hopefully fix it. Or I also got another quote that it would be $5,000 to update the line. And I just hadn't had a chance to bring it to you guys to decide one way or the other, what we wanted to do.
So it was a large pavilion where?
At Robert Morris.
Robert Morris Park, okay. The one field light was like $1,400. So I
They're
just didn't know
expensive.
if that was just a repair or if that was to work on replacing, but that was.
Just a repair.
A repair. That was all of my questions.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent agenda as read by the chair.
Objections? No, a motion that. Are there any presentations? No. Okay, that brings us to the business items. The first one that I have down here is the park issues discussion. And of course, we have the first one that we've all been talking about. And I would like to discuss these topic items to attain a clarity on the Parks Board consensus views on them, just for clarity. And of course, the first topic coming up, and I have several of them, is organized sports groups require documented training on rules and park rules going forward. And as we know, the basis of this were the recent incidents with some disc golf league players. The league in question follows the PDGA official rules, which is the Professional Disc Golf Association official rules. And it states that the site park posted rules must be followed. And then, as I understand it, based on on-course misconduct and courtesy rules in brief, number one, overt use of abusive, profane language or remarks on gender identity, race, and background is a violation. This is according to the PDGA rules. Violence and vandalism, threatening behavior, or destroying property are strictly prohibited. Substance abuse is banned. That includes public intoxication. Distractions like light flashes and so on are violations according to these rules. Digital spaces. Conduct rules extend to official online spaces, community board, and social media blogging. There are disc golfer penalties and consequences for not following posted venue rules. There are competition penalties, including immediate disqualification without warning by the tournament director. There are also non-competitive and venue consequences, including park citations for violating local ordinances, alcohol, curfew, or smoking, and can result in law enforcement legal citations. So this code of conduct of the PDGA includes observing all posted rules. So the Parks Board, in looking at that, Park and Rec has ordinances, some along with the Township, that state general park rules, and these rules coincide with those posted on site at Robert Morris Park regarding what is and is not allowed at the park. Violations may be addressed by warnings, followed by revoking the sticker permit, which is required for park entry and car parking, for, quote, the remainder of the calendar year, end quote. if deemed appropriate by the Parks Director. So park rules apply park-wide in all areas. In the case of the K-Aces Disc Golf League, they have a code of conduct based on the PDGA Code of Conduct, which requires following park rules wherever they play as a league. The PDGA Code of Conduct applies to on-site behavior as well as social media and other digital communications, as I'd read from their regulations. The league director is responsible for assuring member players follow the 3 rules that we listed and that are posted online. Let's see if I can find that. No, it's the one with the logo. There are 3 of them anyway. And one of those is, of course, to follow posted rules. As Robert Morris Park park permits apply for each league member player as a group, apply for each player as a group. Self-policing of members and assurance of this from the league director is expected. It's also expected, as understood by our new Parks Director, that she is responsible for assuring adherence to park site rules. Enforcement is to follow the park ordinances at Robert Morris Park. A perceived resistant or threatening situation may require Township Ordinance Officer assistance, which in the judgment of the Parks Director was needed. The approach has been issued warnings first, and if no adherence, revocation of the park permit, which has happened in this case, is my understanding. Again, per our ordinances, it is the duty and right of the Parks Director to proceed with this approach. It is the duty and expectation of the league director to monitor and enforce the code of conduct of its members, even if that may result in revocation of membership. So from my perspective, our park director was within her duty bounds to proceed with the park rules enforcement. Now, there can be a remedy to all this because the revocation of the permit is to the end of the year is how it usually occurs when park permits are revoked. One remedy may be consistent with the PDGA rules. Require acknowledgement of league members' error by the league director. Require the league director to provide signed documentation that training on the PDGA Code of Conduct rules and Robert Morris Park rules is completed by every member. Require the league director to sanction or suspend those individuals identified as resisting the parks director and/or ordinance officer warnings, as well as those identifiable, if possible, as issuing threats verbally or online. And some of those threats were serious enough to close the park and to notify police. And with that, place the entire league on probation at Robert Morris Park for the rest of the year at that park. But if those criteria have been met, the Parks Board can then be petitioned to consider a request for park use under a probationary status. And that is a possibility if these things are corrected. So that was the first item. The second item was to strengthen our written agreements for permits for groups to document and contract all functions as needed. So for even special events and pavilions and delegated functions. And we require with these documented park rule reviews, and that may help clarify what's required of everyone. Another item for us to approach with is to review and update for clarity all of our ordinances. We need to formulate a clear strategy for park security assistance, including options for on-the-spot changes in staff hours. So as conditions arise, you have the authority to change those park hours on the spot, and we need to make sure that that's can be clear. And I have as an example the particulate air pollution that we had that descended upon the park here recently, and, you know, people couldn't breathe. And our park staff was stuck there without air conditioning or anything. So there are certain situations that require actions that we don't already know necessarily are going to happen. We need to consider weather and air quality standards, and other unforeseen events that may require closure or closure procedures. And then one thing that I've been advocating for a long time is to establish work process SOPs. And these, you know, we can be assigned to us really to review our practices and actually put down in more detail for specific job functions that it requires. And that may clarify a lot of issues too. And part of that can be, you know, how we communicate what happens, how we correct things that happen, so it's more visible. So anyway, that's my summary and my ideas and a proposal to remedy a situation. So let's discuss. Are there any other ideas or?
I'll go first. I really feel that we both parties could have done a better job. I understand that the rules have been kind of relaxed over the years, and I don't believe that we had done a very good job of enforcing them or communicating the enforcement, although we do support our director and her choices to control that situation to the best of her ability with the use of the ordinance officer. So I feel like there should be a remedy. I feel like the disc golf leagues and other leagues, if there's more, do support our main objectives in the parks, and I would hope that we can find a way to make things work. I appreciate your summary and putting that together.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or ideas or concerns?
When we had the joint meeting with the Township Board, there were 4 representatives of the Township Board, and they all stated that they hoped that there could be some resolution or work towards, you know, some way to work this out. So I think, and then there were a few of us that agreed with that. So I stand with Mark. I think that there were mistakes made on both sides, and I would like to, I think there is a problem with inconsistencies of these rules and ordinances, and just recently, maybe 3 weeks ago, my husband was out at Robert Morris Park with our grandson, and they were fishing from the shoreline, and he said the language that was being used on the beach was terrible. But there's nobody down there to say, hey, you can't say that here, or you can't talk like that here. So, you know, how can we tell one group that this is the rule and then ignore it for other groups? I just don't know how that works. And all the years that we had signs that said no flotation devices, and you would go there and the whole beach, the whole water would be full of kids on flotation devices. So when all of these rules that are posted are just flaunted or disregarded, then how do you go to certain people and say, you have to follow them? So I don't know. I think you either make the best effort you can to overall enforce them, or you don't have the rules or something. But I just don't know how you can pick and choose who has to follow them and when they have to follow them.
Well, we have a strategic plan, and in that, as we find out what the priorities of our community are, and one of the highest priorities that we hear back from people are that we have safe parks you can take families to. And so there are all sorts of, you know, things that need to be looked at and adhered to and so on. But, you know, I would say that, well, maybe we need more resources. Maybe we need more communication of rules, or pass it out with every park permit, or do something to help let people know what the rules are and what is needed, because our duty is to follow that strategic plan and follow those priorities that we've set and have parks that are safe for the patrons and our citizens to attend and to participate in.
Absolutely.
So, I go for that option to make sure of that versus, laissez-faire for everybody who.
I mean, we've either got to be committed to enforcing the rules,
Right.
or, because, I mean, if you're a family that doesn't want to be listening to some very profane language, you don't go there then. If it's allowed, you don't go there. So either you,
Well, yes, and hopefully we have attendance that you can report this to and the action can be taken.
but as Katie said, the staff does not feel comfortable,
Well, that there are a series of events that cause that.
So, I mean, that's what I
not
mean.
to
We either
feel
have to work,
comfortable.
we either have to work on a way to enforce the rules that
Yes.
we're asking people to abide by. I mean, there has to be some sort of, you can't just post them and walk away. I mean, you've got to,
I don't think,
either that or people have to come to the park knowing that they're on their own, that, I mean,
again, then we're not doing our jobs.
well,
Okay,
I don't know.
we
Then you're
follow
saying-
the
you're saying the-
strategic plan.
You're saying the city of Kalamazoo doesn't do their jobs? I'm sure they want to provide,
Excuse me, I just had a staff member ask about some keys, so I'm going to excuse myself and get them some keys, but I'll be back.
All right. Well, I mean, you take action, you don't put your head in the sand, so to speak.
No, I mean, I think that would be a poor choice, but I'm just saying that the inconsistencies of enforcing the rules
Yes.
is an issue.
I think we're all believing that to be true, but we have to generate a plan for resources of how we can control that and how we can provide safe parks. But the additional ordinance officer, the use of Dakota's time, those seems like those are going to be potential opportunities to help warrant and govern those areas.
You may not be aware that Dakota has resigned.
No, I am not.
Okay, so
Okay.
we don't, at this point, there is no ordinance officer.
Okay. So,
And as far as hiring another one, I don't know how that, I know they had a couple of responses, but now there wouldn't even be anybody to train a new person, so. Our problems are only multiple.
expanding.
This is an example of what happens when threatening behavior gets out of hand on social media and
Well,
to the point of
the re-
death threats.
Yeah,
I mean, this
that wasn't the reason for his resignation.
well, I'm not saying that, but, it seems to be building that for staff to be afraid to, do their jobs because of threats.
Yeah, no, that was not the case here.
Well, it was the case at the parks.
Well,
for
yeah, that
Dakota,
was-
But, okay,
I
but
don't think-
my point is, that, we have problems with social media and so on with these things coming through and anonymity and people scaring other people. It's just, and then if you don't have all the resources to back you up, you're going to be frustrated, You're not going to want to do your job. So it's our job to figure out what to do and improve things. So that's what I'm saying. We do need to look at our ordinances. They last revised in 2009, need some refurbishing. We need to look at how we fund things. We need to look at what our responsibilities are for making people safe.
And communicate.
Yeah. Beyond posting, kind of
Well, I don't think we
overkill.
need to post. The website is not even supported well.
Yeah, I heard that. So there's improvement all around that needs to be done. So anyway, I came up with a possible remedy for the league, because I understand there's league play coming up. Is that correct?
Not at Robert Morris.
Not a Robert Morris, okay.
No, I told her on the 25th, we were not coming back.
Okay, all right. Okay, is there any more discussion at this time? What I would like to do is ask for some committee grouping amongst ourselves to work on specific issues or specific parts of this, like the SOPs, like the ordinance review and so on, and how we can get more funding and more oversight, physical oversight on the parks. So that will be coming. Okay. All right. The next item is Planning Commission meeting notes.
I had let everybody know that there was that planning commission meeting on July 23rd, and I know that Teresa and Mark were there, and I just thought it would be a good idea that we just talked about what had been said at that meeting. So what's in the proposal that has not been approved yet, they were just meeting with the group to see, to finalize things, if there were any questions that they could kind of have a back and forth at that meeting. There is a public hearing, I believe, this Thursday for this meeting, but this relates to parks because of the property that they are trying to purchase is the Hickory Ridge Golf Course. So this company is asking to buy that property, right, Hickory Ridge, right? I said the right golf course? Okay. They're buying it. Nothing is finalized, I want to say again, but the idea is that they are trying to purchase the golf course, that they want to use some of that land for their battery storage, and then they are going to have 100 acres, give or take, left over, and they're proposing that it's either left as open land or that they would be giving it to the township, the Parks Board, to develop another park. So I asked a couple of questions if they have this set up with anybody else, and they said that they do not. They only referenced an easement that they had with, I think, Consumers Energy, that doesn't come anywhere close to this. It sounded like a couple people were interested in having a meeting, just one-on-one, to try to figure out what you would do with 100 acres. I expressed concern that this 100 acres is a very big space, that Robert Morris is a little over 34, I believe. And then again, with staffing, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if the Parks Board is exactly the ones who are going to be able to say yes or no on that. I think first it would go to the Township Board to even see if they would enter into this agreement. I'd have to ask that question, but I just thought it would be a good idea for us to start thinking about, if it was an opportunity, if that would be something that you would want.
I have a question. So I didn't watch the meeting, but I did read the minutes and I looked at the map of like what they're going to do. So the part that they would be donating, would that work to move, if we were to move Winky softball diamonds there, would it fit?
I'm not sure.
That was my first thought.
Sure. After the meeting, I was thinking, because they had a lot of stipulations in there about, it needs to be 2,000 feet from certain things. So I didn't know if, would we also want to take into consideration that, okay, we don't want to be right up next to this thing if everyone else is saying that we need to be 2,000 feet away. I could be wrong on I think it was 2,000 feet. They did say that they would be willing to help fund the project, but they could not put a dollar amount on that. I would imagine you could turn it into softball fields. I haven't done the research on it to see how many fields we would get, how much it would cost to do something like that, anything like that.
That was my follow-up, if they were going to help fund it, because with the lights we're looking at putting in, this would be the perfect time to just get away from the county and have our own fields.
Sure. They said yes, but it seemed like there were a couple of different groups that we were talking to, different people within the company, I guess, and some were interested in meeting to talk further. Others were a little bit more standoffish, where like there's still so much more that they have to figure out before they can really have this conversation. But I think this is also an important conversation to have before the township would, if they wanted to just say no, because this potentially, it sounds great, but it's potentially not great. So you just kind of have to look at.
Okay. That's all I have.
Yeah, I think we just need to, put a chart together, advantages and disadvantages to the park and to the public. My concern is getting too close to this thing. It's hazardous. So again, knowing where boundaries are is important. I can't visualize, how this is and what distances would be. Also, it's maintenance for us, a lot of maintenance, and it's resources, and it's loss of tax dollars. So, we have to see what those advantages and disadvantages are in total, and see if that's something we would like or not like.
Yeah, I would want us to reach out to the companies that are involved and determine if, recreational space is inhibited by these battery plants. I know people have come as if this is a tremendous negative to the community. I also know there's some positive as well, but I haven't heard both sides, so I would want that clarified for us. I do know several individuals that are concerned about not having a golf course. So even that might be something in year one, there's a 9-hole unit that's run in that configuration as they showed it. That might be one option. But I think it is something that there's a lot of hoops to get through before that really comes to us as a reality. But I think the idea of setting up some budget items in there and maybe long-term looking at that being developed. I think most of the course work that they showed was, where they were putting the battery plants were going to be onto is that the west side? No, yeah, the west side, up this hill and over to the side, and as close or further away from individuals, so that potentially the parking lot and that, like a straight vertical kind of an L shape, would potentially be park area. So anyway, I think it's a potential. I always like to see our parks grow, but I do know that there's also resources that'll be needed. So that's my thoughts.
Well, perhaps the community should be asked about this as well. We're getting some information, but all of that should be, fully disclosed, and options fully disclosed, and what do people think about it before we decide on anything, so. Okay, any more thoughts? No? Okay, the next item is the Neal Street Park Boulders.
I did get a quote in today, so that's the one that's was sitting at your desk. It was from CD Lawn, but it didn't necessarily change my recommendation. So I'm recommending that we go with Boulders to place the 40 approximately 3-foot boulders at Neal Street. We have talked to them. They understand the timing issue with seeding the grass, and they are significantly lower than the other two quotes. So I am recommending that we go with Boulders for the Neal Street Park Boulders for a total of $5,400.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve the use of Boulders for the boulders with the quote that Director Bush had given.
Okay, any objections? None? Okay, motion passed. And then we move on to the Winky softball field discussion.
I am in the process of getting 2 quotes. I had reached out to 3 different companies. I was hoping to get, one of them didn't respond to me. The other 2 are working on getting their quotes. I was really hoping to have them tonight, but I do not. So the quote I am asking for is to either replace field 3 or field 1 or both. If, depending on what those numbers are, the other option would be to replace the 4 poles that are splitting. So that obviously wouldn't raise the height, it wouldn't do anything for the overall scope of the project, but depending on how much it's gonna cost to replace a field, I wanted to get that other quote, because it seems like if we aren't able to totally get new lights for a field, that we might have to at least replace the 4 poles. And then with that, just another reminder, I don't know if there's any discussion or not, but the contract that we are in with the county does end at the end of this year. And with that, they wanted us to specifically talk about the commitment to Winky softball complex. And there were a couple other minor things that have come up along the way that they want us to address in the new contract, such as the music that is played at the park. They don't allow music to be amplified, and it is amplified at the park, and trying to get that rule enforced is just as difficult as anything else.
Okay. Any other discussion on that topic?
I would like to ask, maybe along with your setting up councils, that maybe that was a separate council alone, just to kind of address the needs for what we need to look at for the proposal or for the upcoming contract in that, and what would really need to be dealt with regarding the ordinances for that area of the park.
Okay.
And how their ordinances would correlate with ours.
So that contract would be on file. We can review that.
Yes.
Okay, does it refer to any of the things like music in that contract?
They tell us that we're not allowed to let them have amplified music. We tell them and they do it anyway.
Oh, okay. So it's okay, point of use problem. Okay.
But is there willingness to extend the contract or renew the contract contingent upon certain things that we need to know specifically about? I mean, do we have to, are there contingencies to whether they will renew the contract?
I got the feeling that yes, they would love it if we would continue to be partners with the county, but there are a couple of things that they would like us to address in the contract to make sure that we're following through on what their rules are that we're also enforcing.
Written down some,
They're the park rules.
no, but I mean, they have conveyed specifically what they want addressed.
Yes.
Okay, and you have it in writing?
It's actually just that one thing. It's just the music that's being played.
Only thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So the parks manager does not have any luck trying to ask them to turn it down?
We do not have a park manager at that park.
Okay, during season, okay, just concessions, okay.
You're dealing with the same issues that you're dealing with at every other park. People don't listen. When you try to enforce a rule, people don't like being told what to do. So it's just an ongoing cycle.
Okay. There could be some interesting benchmarking that can go on here. For example, I just came from Philadelphia area in certain parks, and much higher staffing level, a lot more security, but everything runs smoothly, so there's ways to, I think, make the experience for patrons better, but there's a better understanding coming in what the expectations are. So we'll think about that, but benchmarking around what works would be good, I think.
Unfortunately, I think it all comes down to money.
Yeah,
which we need to find a way to get more of.
yeah.
So, unfortunately, that's the way it is.
Okay, moving to park hours.
With closing the park, Robert Moore specifically, at 9 PM, that's been happening for the last 2 years, as I understand it. Last year, I was on maternity leave for most of this, so I wasn't really around for that piece. But with everything that has happened, the lawyer did recommend, since we are not occasionally closing at 9 o'clock, that we're always closing at 9 o'clock, that we should put that in the ordinance. So I had contacted the county and to see what, how they do things with the sunset. And they have a couple of different times that they close depending on when sunset is. So I'm proposing, we would still potentially have to get this put in the ordinance, but potentially you want to change other ordinances. So I didn't know if you'd want to tackle more than just this or how you'd want to do that. But the recommendation would be that we would update our sign for a different panel. So we'd have the 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, and 9:30 panel that we would change out with the season. I don't know if this is necessarily something to vote on tonight per se, but just that the thought moving forward to have that sign updated more regularly. One thing that we have run into, a lot of people just go to Google to find out when the park closes, but we don't control what Google tells them. So looking at Google, I can't remember what time it says, but it's certainly not our time, and it especially if we go into this changing when it closes, I'm sure that won't get updated. So just to kind of be aware that we might hopefully be able to update our website. We'll post it on the signage, but Google is another beast to try to figure out.
You can update it. You can suggest the update as you change this, but you have to do it. They don't do it for you.
Right.
Because we do that manually for the transfer station twice a year.
And they do take it. Katie's been not me, Katie Jessa has worked a lot on trying to claim the different park properties. So we do have more control over some of this, but it's not an easy thing to try to do. But just wanted to bring that up, that Google will tell you something different, but I can certainly make a note that we can make it a recommendation and hopefully they would listen to us.
Yeah, it would seem that our official site should be the authority for this information.
Yes, but in practice, that's not necessarily where people are finding that information.
But sometimes when I've looked on Google for a restaurant or a store or something, it will often have the notation, times may be subject to change. You might want to call the actual place or something. I don't know if that's an option of putting.
I don't know so if you're able to claim your business, you have control over editing that site. If you don't own the business, then you don't necessarily. So if you're talking about like a Kohl's, I would think that they, have ownership over it and they can change it differently, where trying to claim public property as our property is just difficult. But I hear what you're saying.
Because sometimes it'll say, hours may vary due to a holiday or, like a notation that gives you reason to think you can't absolutely 100% go with what's appearing on Google.
So you provided a picture?
So this would be the mock-up of what the sign would be. This way, we're not redoing the entire sign. We're just replacing that one specific piece. So we would need the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different panels to change out throughout the year. I don't remember if it's on here or not. I don't remember what the quoted price was for that, but yeah.
Let me throw it.
Okay.
But I think actually what I've seen at
River Oaks.
Yeah, thank you. They're using magnetic on a parking size sign, so this is approximately the same size, and it's just a magnet that goes on and off. One thing I mentioned, that the more you make it difficult to remove, the less vandalism, but as we know, just if anything wants to get vandalized, it could be. So I was suggesting that magnets might work best in this application. That's all. And you said 9 p.m., not 9:30, right?
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
And I'm texting staff. I'm sorry, I'm not
No, that's okay.
ignoring you.
So is it 9 or 9:30?
It is 9. It's 9 o'clock.
Okay. Right. Okay. Any more discussion on that for now? Okay. Then reports and correspondence. Are there any? None? Okay. That brings us to the revenue and expenditure report and the director's report.
Katie, you have some things noted about Neal Street that's happening there. Is it once in a while? Is it continual?
I don't have an exact number on it. I just know that it's becoming more and more often, and the dumping has probably occurred 2 or 3 times
Okay.
over the course of the last month or 2.
And the other issue, is that ongoing or random, or is there, because that's during the open hours.
Right.
It has to be,
I know that it's happened at least once. There's no one necessarily going to check that, so whether there's somebody in there or not.
and was it found out because of a complaint or something?
Thankfully, no, it was our staff who found it.
Okay, so we haven't had
Correct.
ball players or anybody calling and saying, okay.
Yep.
Could you explain, please, why the website is no longer supported?
It's an outdated, I'm sorry. It's an outdated website, and they're no longer making fixes to the website. I don't know technology and website stuff, but they're no longer supporting what the website used to offer. So because they're not fixing anything anymore, that's left to, you can't update things, or, I don't know if anybody else has a better way to explain that, but that's kind of what it is. It sounds like there was a proposal for a new website a few months ago, but that hasn't made it to the right people to be addressed. So as Katie is updating the website, doing more and more things, she's just running into a lot of issues. She's working on workarounds at the moment, but I don't know how long those will continue to last. So she did want to say that right now there's nothing that's wrong. Stuff just isn't updated. So if you go on there, it still says that we're hiring or that Dino Dig is still happening, when on there it does have the date that Dino Dig already happened, but I think she's been able to since I put this out, but she can't necessarily take things down at this point.
Okay, and the township is experiencing this too?
Yes. I just don't know. We use the website a lot for things. I don't know how often the township website is being updated with, different programs and things that Katie is using it for. Because there are still parts of the website that work. It's just things that she had been using it for are, of course, the things that are no longer working.
There's no one to reach out to either.
She did reach out to the company. It sounds like there was a proposal that was sent, and, I don't really know anymore. I'm not sure.
So Katie, with Robert Morse Park, what is the current situation? Are we still using the private security, or?
Yep, I was told that we could use it every day through Labor Day, so that's what we're doing.
5 to 9, or?
Yes.
And when is our park closure date for the season again?
The hard date is Labor Day. We usually have people stay on a little bit longer, depending on weather, and to close down the park. If it is a nice weekend, then the park was obviously going to be used, and we just don't have the full-time staff to clean up the whole park. So a lot depends on the weather and staff availability. I am losing people very, very quickly. I had another one resign today, so do what we can.
So let's see, the Kalamazoo Nature Center work is going well?
I think so. I think everyone learns an awful lot when they come out. It's always interesting to hear their perspective and their recommendations. So this last one, we didn't have a lot of, I don't think we had any volunteers actually come out, but we do have some staff that are able to help out. So that was.
Okay, good.
We're going to go back to Cooper next month, and I think we'll have our volunteers come back for that park.
Just as an aside, I notice, there's a lot of interest in surveying invasive species, and the pollinators are, sounds like an up-and-coming activity. One thing we've noticed personally are the bird call survey on your phone. You can actually listen and identify all the birds in the state, which might be fun to tie into the pollinator activities. Just a note. Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns? Okay. That brings us to member comments and announcements. None? Okay. I will be contacting different commissioners for tasks, as I outlined that we need to do, revisions and so on, and see who's interested in doing what, and try to get that going very soon. And okay, other than that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting at 6:58 PM.
Is there objection? No, none noted. Meeting adjourned. Okay, thank you, everybody.